Xenotilt is the much anticipated sequel, for me definitely, to Demon's Tilt, one of my favourite pinball games of all time that I still regularly go back to today, even if I suck at it according to the high score leaderboards. In Xenotilt, you're playing in a 3-tiered single pinball table that all kind of stacks, and you move up and down it, trying to clear various different goals, killing various bosses, trying to survive as long as possible, building up your multiplier and combo meter so that you can get absolutely astronomical scores and hopefully end up on the online leaderboards in somewhere vaguely respectable. This, when you initially look at Xenotilt, kind of made me a little bit suspicious and sceptical, even though I bought this quite happily on day one just to support the dev because I absolutely adored Demon's Tilt. But when I looked at the table, I thought, this looks oddly familiar. And if you overlay the two tables, it is, at least on the surface, an almost near reskin of Demon's Tilt's 3-tiered table. Everything's kind of in the same position. However, what I will say is that having now played this game, it's the everything that goes on inside the frame that is different in Xenotilt. And so the two actually do feel quite distinctly different games, even though on the surface it looks like a reskin rather than anything else. The other thing I'll say up front is if you're coming to this game as a pinball simulator lover, expecting real-world physics and real-world adaptations of stuff, you're in the wrong place. This is a pinball game that is based around bullet hell action. So each of the 3 tiers that you're moving up and down has a boss in at some point, and they're always throwing everything at you all at once. Some of it will be tiny little enemies that will get in your way, but there's also tons of enemy fire, and as you hit that, it kind of slows you down and starts to kind of cause its own little weird Xenotilt physics. And you have to get used to that, and what that has then made me do much more in this game compared to Demon's Tilt, even though I suppose I should have done, it's just showing how bad of a player I am, is that you spend much more time cradling the ball oh god in this game compared to just like aimlessly flippering out and trying to bash the ball around the table. The reason for this is twofold. Firstly, the sheer amount of bullets going on screen means that cradling the ball and the flipper means that you can choose when to make your move a bit more and get some gaps in the bullet hell. The other thing though is that turrets are now assigned to your flippers, and you can collect ammo as you go, and if you cradle the ball then that triggers the turrets to then fire, and that can clear some of those smaller enemies out of the way for you, which then leaves you able to then go, right, now's my time to shine, and you're going to go and attack certain lanes or certain enemies or go after certain feats. Because in each of the tiers there's also a word that you can build, and that's by completing various different like mini missions. Some of them are timed, some of them less so, but you'll be aiming for them just over the course of the game whilst also trying to survive. The other thing, obviously, with Demon's Tilt was that it always had the bash meter as well. So you was able to, with the left analog stick, if you thought you was going to lose a ball, quickly spank it and hope that you would course correct something with a nudge so that you would stay alive. Now, I keep forgetting that this is a feature heavily required in this series, and so the amount of times I've died when I've probably shouldn't have is astronomical. But I do feel like it's less impactful in Xenotilt, but I've read other people's reviews that suggests that it's more impactful, so it might just be more of a visual thing for me, that I'm not seeing the difference or I'm using it incorrectly. So you'll still need to use it, it's still integral to the game, so just know that it's integral to the game, and I think the jury's out for me on whether it's stronger or more useful in this one. What I will say is that you can use it more times before it then kind of taps you out and goes, nope, you've nudged too much, game over, lose a ball. The other things that are involved in this game is as you complete various different feats, you can unlock upgrades to your run as you go through. Some of this is about trying to move between different tiers quicker. Some of it can increase your multiplier quicker. Then you get like charged shots, or pierced shot as it's called, that allows you to like attack things and pass through them. I found this quite fascinating because it almost puts a roguelike or a roguelite element to your run through, because as you're getting upgrades, they only count for the game that you're playing. But I found myself starting to find like I would want to choose certain upgrades over others because they helped me with my playstyle, and I found that a really good extra addition. The other thing that I'll say is that the various different bosses that occur on each of the 3 tiers feel much more satisfying to kill. They feel much more like better rounded, I would say, because each one has its own style of how it's going to attack you, and so you have to play at them slightly differently. So like the tiger in the middle at the beginning has this ice ability that just means that you can't like cheese attack it. It will just kind of effortlessly bounce off. There's another one that down on the bottom has like loads and loads of blocks around it, and because that then reduces down the playing area on the bottom flippers to such a tiny margin, you have to be so quick and so like on the ball with where you're going to catch the ball again. And usually that boss is what ends me because I'm just not good enough basically, and will need to get good in order to do it. The boss right at the very, very top is all around trying to work out when's the right time to attack her head and her face, because she's got like a shield that will come down and it will smash you if you get it wrong, and it's so forceful that it pushes you down like through tier 2 back into tier 1 again, and then you've got to like scamper for the flippers to be like no. Otherwise it's a very easy game over. Alongside all of this, you've got a fantastic soundtrack that is very early 90s in terms of the way how it's got its chiptune fun. Feels very 16-bit or 32-bit turbo graphic era for me, which is always a big thumbs up. I love the sheer amount of chaos that's going on screen. It does, because the graphics are slightly smaller, make it slightly difficult, I think, to see your ball compared to Demon's Tilt. And that's really the only negative compared to Demon's Tilt that I've seen so far throughout the couple of hours that I've been playing the game. I lose the ball more with Xenotilt visually compared to Demon's Tilt, and I think that's just because of the slightly different colour palette and the fact that everything is smaller on screen. So it's just, you got to keep the eye on the ball, otherwise the other thing I'd say is, obviously this game has been released into early access, but the game itself feels complete. What's missing are other modes. So you've got the normal mode, which is 3 balls, see how long you can go for high score. There's then a hardcore mode, which is 1 ball, no recoveries. So say if like you shoot out and you immediately miss the ball and it just drops down, it is game over. It's not going to give you a gimme. So that's interesting and fun to have there too. But whilst it's in early access, they've just said all we're doing is fixing bugs, polishing up things and adding additional game modes and whatever content is. But essentially the maps are done and this is a fully formed game for you to dive into. It's got the 1 mode. So yeah, I am bowled over with this, having a great time with Xenotilt. I think it has potential to be just as good as Demon's Tilt, if not potentially slightly more accessible and therefore maybe viewed as better than Demon Tilt over the course of time. And yeah, super loving it. Really, really happy. Thoroughly recommended. Thumbs up from me. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.